Hello our Maritime Zone friends, it's Matt here today bringing you another demo for the channel. Today we are going to be playing visual novel Spell Candle. The Kickstarter for this has just come out, so big thank you to Streamers Connected for allowing us to play this with the key that they provided for us today. I've been getting really into visual novels lately and this one looks like it's going to stack up well. We have a lot of cool characters to meet and a lot of really beautiful story to read, so without further ado, grab your covers and settle in. I have been getting really into visual novels this year. We've played quite a few. You might have seen earlier on the channel we did an entire playthrough of the demo for Touch Starved. We also spent an entire stream over on our Twitch playing through the Bad Summer demo, which I then went and played some more in my own time as well. I've been getting really into the style of it. Like, I love the storytelling aspect, the meeting of the different characters, the having fun just doing voice acting. And when I was reached out about this by Streamers Connected and told that they had a Kickstarter coming out really soon and they wanted people to cover the demo to get some excitement going, check it out, I was immediately on this. We have 4 main characters that we should be able to meet in the demo today, and just by looking at the visual style, I know I'm gonna love the way this looks. The artists have done an incredible job on this. Even just looking at the trailer, which we'll have a look at ourselves in just a moment, I can tell this is going to be right up my alley, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one as well. And we'll link any information to do with the Kickstarter down in the description below. So if you like what you see today and you want to support the Kickstarter, you will find all of the information down in the description, and I'll also link any of their socials and stuff. So if you want to go and follow it, you know where to go and find them. Now though, let's take a quick look at the Steam page. We'll have a look at the trailer, read about it, and look at the tags and stuff, and then we're going to get into it. This is going to be a good one, so let's go. Spell Candle is your grief coping mechanism in a 2D romance visual novel. Take on the role of a foreign correspondent turned investigator of magical crimes to uncover the culprit behind the mysterious disappearance of a sleeping god. It's developed and published by Bottled Monster Inc. and is described as an otome romance dating sim visual novel, and I am here for it today. Just based on the trailer alone, I'm very here for the music, the vibes. It's kind of given like fantasy Victorian, something like that, and it is super intriguing. I have to say there are 2 characters of the 4 that I'm particularly interested in and wanted to get to know more about, and that is Mors Mortis, the green hair, the undead eternal, you know, something about the darkness really gets to me, and Latimore, the Emperor's dagger. I have a feeling they're going to be very like uptight, but when you get to know them, I feel like they're gonna have super interesting personality, and I'm really here for it. I could definitely tell who's going to be charismatic, who may be a little bit cheeky, who we might want to poke around at and find more information about. And I'm absolutely here for learning about a bunch of different characters today and having a bit of a flirt. As you come into the game here, we have 5 options here. We have start and load, CG gallery, settings and quit. Taking a quick look at the settings, there are very few options here, but there is enough to work with here in the initial stages. We have the resolution and screen mode. Always love when I'm able to put it into Windows. I have an ultra wide monitor, so it's really nice to be able to put it into windowed mode so I can also see other things on the screen at the same time. The graphics at the moment are currently set to cinematic on the highest setting. And text, we have the text speed and auto delay. I did change this, but it would appear that it hasn't saved it, so that's interesting. I would like to see some additional things here with the full game, with being able to change subtitles, having high contrast subtitles, changing the size of the font or making it an easier to read font. But for just the demo, being able to change the text speed is at least something which we appreciate. And then with sound, we have the music volume and the SFX volume as well. With the CG gallery, it seems that we have 5 separate things that we can unlock here. I will assume that comes through playing the game, so by the end of the demo we'll be able to get the CG gallery unlocked, hopefully. If not, maybe that's part of the full game, we'll have to have a look. But let's get straight into a game. I think this one's going to be really interesting. I'm so here for the fantasy element of this. Let's go and meet some interesting characters. How far are you willing to go to contain war in a glass dome? How many parents would you be willing to sacrifice? How many brothers would you kill? Would you grow numb to the pain? Become a zealous leader, willing to sacrifice anything for the greater good? Turn a blind eye to the orphans on the streets? Ignore those disabled, begging for coin? Steal, bribe, and extort for a chance at peace? How many decisions would leave you lying awake at night, counting the souls you sent to the slaughter? Can living in war for millennia truly be considered life? A loud whistle breaks the silence, rendering the carriage to a sudden stop. The tip of my quill shatters as it smashes into the paper before I can put down my next thought on the page. Identity control! The shout comes from the outside, and I put my notepad down, scoffing at the ruined nib. This is the 3rd one today, and I'm tempted to throw my hands up in frustration and scream. I was selected to be the Eurasian delegation's reporter for this year's Dread Festival. It should be considered a great honour to be able to report on your country's political victories, no matter how small. But you can't expect a caged bird to sing happily. I reach into my leather satchel to find my identification documents before stepping out of my petite carriage. I feel. Our first choice of the demo, we have the options of pleased by the chance to stretch my legs, annoyed that I have to go through this, curious to finally get a peek at the outside, and enthusiastic that we've likely almost reached our destination. Well, considering we are in the middle of writing, I don't think that we would be particularly pleased by the chance to stretch our legs. If anything, we're more annoyed that we have to go through this when, we were in the middle of our work. But I am curious to have a look at the outside. I don't know that we've reached our destination yet. I am going to go with curious. Let's try to have a bit more of a light personality in this one. Just a few feet ahead, an elven woman is going through the papers of an older gentleman from our contingent. And what role do you fill within this delegation? Her voice is like the sharp, pointed end of an ancient spear. I am the senator representing the region of the Beastlands. The elf sniffs the air around the delegate and frowns. She's beautiful. Glimmering mercury eyes peek out from underneath short bangs the colour of milky quartz. Her skin, like deep iron ore, glitters gently in the rays of daylight. After a very thorough read of the man's identification documents, she hands them back to him without a word. I find myself nervous as the elf's long knife-like ears twitch and her attention shifts to me. I'd never seen anything like it. Her cold gaze examines me from head to toe before she reaches a hand out. Identification documents. I hand them over and she scans through them quickly. Enter your name. We're gonna full name ourselves this time. You know me on this channel as Mad, or possibly even as Maddie, but we're gonna go with Madeline today. I don't go by my full name very often on this channel, but I think for the vibe that we're going with within this world, I feel like Madeline just feels like it fits a bit better here, so let's go with that. And we get to choose our pronouns as well. I love that. The only thing I would like to see is a potential improvement for these things, but they do ask for your pronouns. It's a chance to add custom pronouns. That being said, the fact that they even include this as a thing in the beginning, I love it. We love a good bit of inclusion, and the fact that they've added this is great. We're going to go with they, them. Those are my pronouns. Let's go. And what role do you fulfill within this delegation? Okay, so we have 4 options again. I was selected by the Empire to take an account of the Dread Festival for an article. I'm here to report the mutually beneficial relationship between our nations. I'll be writing a positive piece about Kilan Gilar's leadership, where I plan to record our general's involvement in foreign affairs for our newspapers. Well, from what I understand, we are taking account of the Dread Festival. That's what they said. I don't know if any of these are lies, if any of these are things that we shouldn't mention at this point. So I'm going to go just straight with what we know so far. We have mentioned the Dread Festival already, so this, to me, it feels like the safest option. I'm not feeling particularly risky with this character so far. Like, we're happy-go-lucky, we're kind of curious, and I feel like we would just tell the truth straight off the bat. I was selected by the Empire to take an account of the Dread Festival for an article. Her eyebrows raised slightly into my response. After a moment, she nods, accepting my explanation. And your general? Where could I find him? Question perplexes me. Though the delegation had been travelling for several weeks, I hadn't encountered the infamous Shadow Master once. Had I? Upon seeing my bewildered expression, the elf offers a small explanation. He was not in his carriage. Perhaps because he got bored of being confined in a turbulent box for days. The voice responds before I can open my mouth to formulate an apology. I step back from the carriage and seek out its source. Upon the wooden roof of my small carriage relaxed one of the most beautiful gentlemen I had ever seen. With his eyes closed, his expression was so serene that I found myself wondering if I'd misheard him speak. Shadow Master, may day and night preserve you. The man on the roof of my carriage opened his eyes and levelled the woman with a cold gaze. His eyes were the colour of the flags of our empire, the colour of blood and dangerous, forbidden things. Latimore. I could hear the elven woman swallow from beside me so vividly that I wondered if the world around us had fallen quiet on purpose. May I please see your documents, General? A frown crossed his features before he quietly sat up, slid his feet over to the edge of the carriage, and jumped down with the grace of a cat. Here. He pushed a stack of documents that was so thick into the hands of the elf that it made me gape. It might take you a few days. He smirked, and I wondered where on himself he kept a pocket large enough to hold all that paper. The elf blinked, scanned through the first few pages, then flipped through the next few with shaky hands, a face growing paler by the second. Peek into the papers or keep watching him? Oh, I kind of want to know, but at the same time, do we defy him or do we keep looking at this beautiful man in front of us? Well, we chose the option before to be curious about what's going on around us, so I'm kind of going with the maybe we don't know that we shouldn't do it and we're being curious and we take a little peek. Let's have a look in the document, shall we? It's just pure innocence, you know? We just want to know what it is that she's gawking at so much. You catch the words, permitted legal assassination, poisoning at discretion, lawful use of force to acquire necessary information, including dismemberment. The elf suddenly thrusts the pages back at the general and gives him a shaky nod and thank you before wobbling off to the next carriage. Was that necessary? The man's notorious crimson gaze turns to me. She asked for my papers. Was it my fault that she wasn't ready for what was on them? Somehow this behaviour does little to surprise me. It might have been considerate to let her know beforehand or fall silent. Well, she did ask to see the papers, so, I mean, it's a general, like, you're gonna have to be aware there's gonna be certain things on that, you know, like, you're doing your job, like, he's just gonna look at my papers, so I'm gonna fall silent. An uncomfortable silence falls over us, and I notice the way his gaze wanders down below my waist, scrutinising me. A frown crosses his lips. I follow his eyes and... fuck. The inkwell I had left on the seat beside me must have spilled when the carriage came to a sudden halt. He's staring pointedly at a large black stain on the side of my pants. I hope you're not planning on wearing that to the welcome dinner. Of course not, or I might have been planning on it. We're gonna say of course not. Oh gosh, like not anymore. Like we were going to wear this, but not now that we're covered in ink. We're gonna have to find another outfit. Like we can't go looking like this. Of course not. I highly suggest not embarrassing yourself or the Empire by doing so. Everything about this man was irritating. I won't. The look he gave me was one of complete apathy. I grit my teeth. A loud, high-pitched whistle travelled from the gates ahead of us. Someone is giving us the all clear. The clicking of metallic hinges echo in the air, and I take it as my sign to return to the peace of my small carriage. I hope you have a good day, General. There wasn't a single sincere word in that sentence. He raised a set of eyebrows as I stepped into my carriage. Making sure to avoid the spilled ink, I turned around and shut the door on his face. A childish reaction, but his expression was well worth it. With blood pounding in my ears, I found a clean place to sit before the carriage resumed its movement shortly after, entering Omnis, the city of candle wax. The capital city of the elves. I find myself eagerly peeking out through the window, making a continuous effort to forget the fact that I may have just angered one of the most dangerous men on the eastern continent. My eyes wander between the many tall buildings made of marble, adorned with golden embellishment, before lingering on the rectangular houses with roofs assembled from slabs of multicolored quartz. They're illuminated by the withdrawing river of light, the path of the goddess of day. All structures bask in the warm rays, colouring in various shades of brilliant oranges and golds. It is a breathtaking view. We pass under a long archway of stone, upon which I can hear the bubbling of running water. Dozens of half-burned candles of sundry colours and sizes sit atop each visible surface. I find myself itching to see what these streets look like at night. My thoughts quickly bring me back to the journal in my lap. Quickly, I fetch a new quill from my bag and note down my initial impressions. After several days of travel, our delegation has finally arrived at Omnis, the legendary elven capital. The gates were guarded strictly, and our official documents and identities were checked for validity. This year, the Great Empire's leading envoy for the peace celebrations is the Shadow Master. He sports a unique brand of charm, or he's a very considerate leader. Well, we haven't really seen anything to suggest that he's a considerate leader, but he does have a unique brand of charm. He seems like he's kind of an asshole, but I'm kind of into it, so let's go with this one. He sports a unique brand of charm that inspires the awe of everyone around him, like a hurricane or some other horrible natural disaster. He has a way with words. I'm blessed to be able to experience the elves' exultation when around him. At least I'm not the only one terrified of this monster. We meander through the roads for another 20 minutes before the carriage comes to a final stop in front of the only building that looks terribly out of place. The tall rectangular pagoda that serves as the Ares Empire's embassy at Omnis. As I disembark, I spot the general already disappearing past the red curtains. He doesn't spare me a glance. Oppressive prick. I'm given a small but pleasantly furnished room in the embassy and quickly ditch my pack in there before heading out into the city. I need to find a tailor somehow. I ask around, I follow a trail of the most expensive looking buildings, I tag after the most lavishly dressed elves on the main street, or I take a map of the city from the embassy to help orient me. I'm going to go along the vibe that we probably don't have that much money to be able to go for the most expensive looking buildings, so even though we want to look good, I feel like it would basically bankrupt us to go and look for one of those. Following people, tagging after well-dressed elves, maybe the elves have their own style of dress, and who says they're even going to the high street to go and shop for clothes, you know? They might just be walking around, we don't want to get caught following someone. Oh, if we ask around, maybe we can meet someone. Okay, I have played these kind of games before and usually gone with a very independent route. I'm not going to rely on anybody else, but let's play this as somebody curious and open and innocent. Let's go and ask around and see. Maybe we're oh, maybe somebody here will be able to help us. We don't need a map. Somebody will be able to point us there, right? We might run into somebody really bad. We might run into somebody really helpful. Who knows? Let's go and just find someone and see who we meet. All languages on the eastern continent come from the same linguistic roots, Fey and Divine. Though initially I struggle a little to understand what the kind lady I stopped to ask for directions is trying to tell me, I make out some orientational words and nod gratefully. It takes me about 15 minutes of walking and skulking about weird alleyways before I spot a cylindrical structure of rose marble. Two golden curtains, embroidered with large designs of a spool with pink string, hung from around its wide-open double doors. Dark letters spell out the words, "The Hour of the Golden Ones," right above the entrance of the building. The gentle strum of a mandolin came from inside, heart-wrenching, intense, soulful, and yet somehow welcoming. Step inside, yet find myself incapable of spotting a single worker. At least, not until three shadows of varying sizes shift from behind a caravan of curtains. They speak in some language I do not recognize. Wait patiently until I'm noticed or call out. I think we call out. We're not too shy, I would say. We're not too overly shy. We're just kind of hey, I need some help. Is anybody here? So I think we should go and call out. Excuse me, I'm looking to buy. As I hoped, that made the moving shadows pause behind the caravan. Smallest silhouette, short and stubby, moved to face my direction, its voice high-pitched and snippy. Now is not a good time! I frowned, but I wasn't about to give up that easily. I need an outfit for a party tonight at the Eurasian embassy. Please. I kept my tone polite, but I knew an undertone of desperation had slipped in. I didn't want to see the general's smug expression directed at me tonight. A short silence followed, filled only with the gentle strum of the mandolin. We are very busy and... A predatory growl erupted from behind the caravan. Help them! The command rolled through the chamber with a low rumble. I felt myself tense as the tallest figure turned to face me from behind the curtain. But Natura... The growl grew louder. As you wish, Natura. The tone was reverent. Obedient. Language is now fully switched to common. The paravan of curtains rustled as a short elf that looked to be within the late years of his lifespan stepped out to help me. All right, this way. I was quickly led behind another small paravan. I'm Cupio, one of the designers of the Hour of the Golden Ones, and your extra hand to look your best today. Will you be needing help undressing? The question caught me off guard. I refused, scandalized by the proposal, or I refused politely. I mean, it caught us off guard, but I wouldn't say that we are scandalized. Like, it seems like a place, like, they were already in there with him helping this Natura get dressed. They might just be, like, things are different here. It's a very cultural kind of place. Let's not be scandalized and, like, react in a really bad way. Thank you for the offer, but I'm accustomed to dressing myself. Cupio nods, surprisingly accepting of my choice. Very well then, I'll see what we have that will fit your body while you disrobe. Drape yourself in the plush blanket of the Davenport if you're feeling bare. And do not be concerned, we changed them after each client that refuses to take it home with them. Before I could process his words, the elf had made his way outside of my changing area. It didn't take long before several beautiful outfits were brought to me. Cupio made it his mission to look everywhere but at my body as he delivered them and exited. His regard for my wishes put me at ease as I tried on the outfits one by one. Do any of these suit your fancy? Okay, so we have 4 options here of things that we can choose. We have a racy blue and white draped dress with a beautiful belt made of pearls, conservative black cotton toga that sticks to my curves and muscles, a leather two-piece, a blouse with matching pants, accented with golden braces and rings, or a ceremonial red and white robe of silk with a black embroidered sash. Ooh, these are all good answers. I'm trying to think about where we're going, right? We're going to an embassy party. We don't want to be too formal. We also don't want to be too casual, right? Like, yes, it's a formal thing, but if we go there in like something super ceremonial, that's why I'm not going for the ceremonial robe, the last option, because as much as it looks beautiful in my mind, this red and white robe, it's a silk robe with a black sash. The fact that it's ceremonial makes me worry that we're going to upset somebody there. Like if we're going in a ceremonial garb and it's not that kind of party, I don't want to upset anyone by being like showing up in a ceremonial piece that's not meant for this kind of ceremony, you know? So that one's out for me. I think the first option is a little bit too sexy. A racy blue and white dress with a belt of pearls. It sounds absolutely stunning. But it's also me, and I'm the one choosing these options, and I am not a dress wearer, and it sounds beautiful, but I know that it would not look right. And like, I know I'm not this character, but I'm pretending it's me, you know? That's what we do with visual novels. You pretend it's you. And as much as I could look at it and go, that is stunning, I wouldn't wear it. For me, it's between the black cotton toga or the leather two-piece, and I'm like, the leather two-piece is super sexy. And like, I'm kind of curious about it. Like, a leather blouse with leather pants? There's something about the toga. I don't know why. The toga is giving me very NB, like non-binary, beautiful, like accenting the body but without like showing us up. Like if we show up in like all leather, like again, I say the phrase, it might not be that kind of party, you know? It would be a very, very bold statement, but I actually really like the idea of this toga. Showing off our body but without showing off too much, you know? The breathable cotton covers my body, yet accentuates the curves that matter. The dark material brings attention to my eyes, making them pop. It is a comfortable, yet eye-catching outfit that makes the wearer stand out with its well-crafted simplicity. A great choice! The tailor appraises the way the item of clothing sits upon my frame. Is this the outfit to your liking? Oh, I like that we can change our option. Like, we could say no and then go and have a look at some of the other clothes. I kind of want to look at the leather outfit and see what the description of that is. As you say, let's look back at the rest. Let's just do a bit of a fashion show. Let's have a look at the different outfits we have available. Let's just start with a racy dress, shall we? The blue with the pearls. The soft material is sheerer than expected, but it flows around my body in a way that makes me part my lips in surprise. It is as if it was made for me. The pearl belt cinches the waist in a way that brings attention to all of my best features. That sounds really, really nice. Again, not the option I want to go with this particular playthrough, the character, the way I'm playing it, but it sounds stunning. I wish I could get away with something like that in real life. Let's have a look at the leather two-piece. After I put the jewellery on and looked in the mirror, I hardly recognised myself. The leather is tight, but the seams are flawless, allowing for freedom of movement. Gold accessories balance out the neutral ensemble, giving the illusion that this was worn by someone powerful. Ooh, interesting. So it's like somebody of power. It would give a very, very confident kind of vibe, which I kind of thought it would do. I mean, if you rock up to like a big popular embassy party wearing full leather, that screams confidence, and it is very much giving Latimore. Like, that's the kind of thing that Latimore would be wearing, you know, like the leather two-piece. Like, I feel like if you go wearing that, it's going to be like one of those things where you show up to the party wearing the same outfit as somebody else, and you're like, no. So I feel like if we wear that, like, that's gonna be way too much attention. But let's have one last look at the ceremonial robe. Let's see what this one looks like. This looks like something one of the generals would wear back home when they held their conclaves. Fancy, formal, yet not overly conspicuous. The pretty embroidery of the dark sash seemed to tell the myth of the sun mice, an ancient story of how the little man outsmarted the god of shadows. This outfit felt comforting and brought a smile to my lips. Well, I do like that we got a smile out of it, and it was a good little fashion show, but I really liked the idea of this toga. Like, we felt so comfortable in it, and like, if you're going to a big party like this, you want to be comfortable, right? Yeah, you want to show off, but, well, I mean, it actually depends. It depends on, like, you might go to a party and be like, fashion is pain, and you go with the most uncomfortable thing because it's the flashiest outfit in the room. I want to go with comfort. I want to wear this outfit. Like, looking through the options, I want an outfit like this, like a cotton toga that sticks to me in all of the right places. Like, that sounds good. Let's go with it. Lovely. Now please, follow me into the logbox. I nod and exit through the heavy curtains to join the small elf at the pay desk, not expecting the looming figure that pushed past the paravan across from mine. I find myself face to chest with a being unlike anything I've ever seen before, a tall cross between man and monster, with a powerful body and a rich skin tone. As I look up at him, his eyebrows jump in surprise before his lips twist into a tameless smile.
Seems like I made the correct choice.
Excuse me?
Getting you dressed.
His voice was like a low purr, and I find my cheeks heating as he made a show of admiring my outfit of choice.
You're stunning.
Thank you. A large tail swishes back and forth behind him as he tilts his head to one side. Did you also manage to find suitable clothing, or do you make a habit of helping others out? I mean, we're face to chest with this man. It doesn't look like he's wearing much clothing. We could ask if he found anything suitable. He doesn't seem to be wearing much, so I don't know what he found, but, ooh, hello, sir. Let's talk about the clothing. Like, I feel like we're gonna make this more awkward by just talking about clothes rather than being like, hey, do you help people up? And like, yeah, do you find good clothing? I mean, you don't have to. It's okay if you know, like, if you don't want to wear any clothing, that's also fine with me. But did you find anything?
What I'm already wearing will suffice.
My eyes wander over his Herculean body. Everything on this man, from his robust torso down to his powerful lion-like legs, seemed as if it should have been carved out of stone by a sculptor. I'd never seen anyone casually show this much skin outside of a bedroom in my life. Are you sure? I think he's pretty damn sure.
I have faith.
Did his eyes gleam, or did I imagine it?
Now then, let's go sort your bill out.
Giving me a little chance to respond, the creature moved to stand in front of the tailor. I can pay for myself, or thank you, but that's unnecessary. I don't think we should just snap at him. He's doing something nice, and also I think we're maybe a little bit flustered looking at this man, so it's like, thanks, but it's okay. It's okay. Like, you don't need to. I hurriedly stepped even closer to Cupio, who looked between me and the tall man, now behind me uncertainly.
You always fight back this hard when somebody tries helping you out.
I know I've given him a weird look when his smile widens, showing off a pair of sharp-topped canines. Yes or no? Honestly, yes. Like, I'm trying to get better over the years of allowing people to do things for me, but it's also that sense of pride about, like, especially if someone you've just met that's gone like, hey, you look great in that outfit, let me buy it for you. It's like, I'm okay, I can do it myself, but like, I would be this awkward. I genuinely would, so yes, we'll say that. An amused hum leaves his lips, and I find myself wondering what it is he gleaned from his curt line of questioning.
This isn't a battle you need to fight. Your purchase is on me. Consider it a gift from the terror of the elves.
I freeze in place as the tall creature crosses his arms in front of his chest, refusing to take no for an answer. His lion-like tail swishes back and forth as if taunting me to attempt to refuse his kindness. This man was the Terror, the demigod leader of the city of Fides, and the chosen of the earth element. And he just paid for a ridiculously overpriced item of clothing. For me. Alright. The intensity of his gaze lessened before he nodded toward the clothing on my body.
Pretty things suit pretty people. Consider it a party favor. You are a guest of the Dread Festival, right?
I nod, and he gives me a brilliant grin.
Then please, make yourself at home in our city.
The words a million people would kill for this chance echo in my mind, and I find myself smiling back at the demigod. Thank you.
It is my duty, and incidentally, my pleasure.
I find my cheeks heating a bit at his tone. I should be on my way.
Of course, I'll be seeing you tonight then.
Pick up my old clothes in my pack before bidding Cupio and the Terror the most dignified goodbye I could muster. Now, what did the way back to the embassy look like? I start retracing my steps, but quickly find myself unable to deny the itch to put words on paper of my recent encounter. Compared to the capital of the Ares Empire, the elven city of Omnis is ridiculously expensive, or beautiful but chaotic. I mean, it does seem expensive, like you said it was an overpriced outfit, but also we've only been to one place. I would say it is beautiful but chaotic, because like, this is a stunning place. There's candles everywhere. Everything's made of like bold and beautiful colored quartz, and there's marble of every kind of color around the place. It is a stunning place. But the first place that we walk into has somebody yelling, like, "We can't help you," followed by a man that's like, "Go and help them right now." And then it happens to be the freaking demigod, and he's looking at us in our outfit, telling us we look really pretty while he's half naked. If that's not chaos and beauty in the same sentence, I don't know what is. The architecture I see as I walk the streets is awe-inspiring, but the structure of the city itself is incomprehensible. I wonder what the spatial architects were thinking when they planned this place. The urban design is amateurish when compared to the organized construction of our capital city. My thoughts then wandered to the terror of the elves, to his warm smiles and his overly accommodating sentiments. Nobody had ever covered a bill for me before, purely out of kindness. I can't help but wonder what the price I'd have to pay for it in return would be. I frown and structure my thoughts on the demigod of Earth. My first impression of the terror of the elves is that he seems to live in his own world, where he has a terrible savior complex. I would say, of these two options, from first impression, he seems to live in his own world is more appropriate, because he just kind of was like, ordered people around, and he was like, "I'm gonna pay for this random stranger's thing," and he was very casual with us. Like, it was almost like there was no consequences. Like, this was his world that he lived in, and he didn't care what happened. That's kind of more the vibe I got. I never once spotted any of our 9 generals out shopping for clothes mere hours before an event as important as the Dread Festival. Then again, if the terror is as rich as the legend says he is, I shouldn't be surprised that he throws money around at pompous stores with ridiculously inflated price tags. I feel my chest grow heavy with guilt over the words I put down. We've been taught to always show the strengths of our empire. Throwing mud at the reputations of others in order to do so, however, has never been my favourite thing to do. I exhale and look up from my page and quill, needing a distraction from my treacherous thoughts. It comes quickly, as I do not recognize the street I'm walking on. Multitasking is not as always as it seems. The marble and quartz are lost, instead replaced by simple one-floor stone buildings, decorated with all kinds of dried plants, bones, and black velvet curtains. The streets seem deserted. The air feels oppressive. Unlike the other parts of town, soft lavender and green candles lay lit around the street, as though there is a heavy darkness here that dims all other colors and needs to be warded off. Silence stretches over me in a way that has me glancing back at my shadow. I don't know why, but this place reminds me of some of the worst moments of my life. We have 4 options here: the passing of my late parents, a terrible breakup with an abusive ex, a near-death experience I suffered through, or the loss of a friend in the yearly wars. The passing of my late parents feels a little bit cliche. Terrible breakup with an abusive ex, I've been there in that breakup situation, but it actually made me feel pretty good to be done with it, to be honest. So I'm choosing between the other two. Those two feel like more like the things I want to go between here. The near-death experience or the loss of a friend. I'm kind of curious what kind of near-death experience we might have described here. I'm really curious where the writers have gone with this. Like, what have we been through? Like the loss of a friend, like yearly wars? Is there always a war like every single year? But at the same time, I'm so curious by this near-death experience. I want to know what the writers have come up with for this. An unforeseen medical condition that I had a chance not to survive. Fortunately, I recovered, but I get a shiver every time I recall it, how close it brought me to brink. I recall the darkness as I passed out, the concerned faces around me, how weak and pathetic I felt during my recovery process. I take a deep breath, focus on the teachings of the Ares Empire, the way to fight back the demons that attempt to conquer you. I need to keep myself occupied, focus on the things at hand. I need to take everything step by step. Turn back and try to trace your steps, or look for someone to guide you back. I feel like we're playing this as somebody who would go to other people for help, rather than just relying on ourselves and then getting ourselves even more lost. Let's just see if anybody knows where we are and how we can get back to the main part of town. While the street I'm currently on is empty, there surely must be someone I can ask for directions. I walk around for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, taking lefts and rights, making my way through neighborhoods that look lived in, yet don't spot a single person. Haven't I already been on this street? I feel as though I'm being watched. I find myself constantly glancing around at the vacant windows and empty street corners. A cold chill climbs up my back as I reach a few doors without windows or candles. Was this elven magic, or all just in my head? Someone playing tricks on me? When I stop to readjust my pack, I feel something wet hit my forehead. The darkening skies up above surprise me, and I have barely a moment to blink before I'm caught in a downpour. The rain is so heavy and cold that if I don't hide somewhere quick, I'm sure I'll be sick during tonight's banquet. Shit. At this rate, my notes will be ruined. I break into a run, looking for shelter from the downpour. The only place I manage to find on such short notice is underneath a small staircase. I'm forced to squeeze in underneath, pulling my feet to my chest. I hate the rain, I like the rain, or I don't care for the weather. I mean, I do like the rain, but we're out here, like, we have all of our notes for the article we're writing, and we're writing with ink of all things. Like, this stuff is gonna run if it gets wet, so it'd be unfortunate, but I love the rain. I think it's great. It's just when it hits you at the wrong moments that it's bad. I'm gonna say I like the rain. I've always found it calming. The pitter-patter of raindrops against any surface could easily put me to sleep. With a downpour like this, it seemed as if the sky itself was crying. For the first time in my life, I found the sky's unruliness almost unfair. By force of habit, I find myself closing my eyes and listening to the sound of raindrops as they hit the cement. I breathe in the petrichor and allow its familiar smell to calm me. Despite my feelings, I find my earlier unease evaporating, melting away with the minutes. I open my eyes to the sound of a bark and find a small puppy tilting its head at me. When I blink again, however, I find that I must have imagined it. What stands before me instead is a tall man dressed from head to toe in black. His 4 eyes are startling green, greener than the purest jadeite. Somehow, he sticks out from within the gloom of the surrounding environment, perhaps because of the lit white candle that gleams in the lantern he holds up towards me. He surveys me silently, unbothered by the rain falling from the sky. His gaze lingers a beat too long on my ears. A sound like an exasperated scoff escapes him before he moves his cape to one side. It takes me a moment to realize he's offering to share. Come on. I'm not sure how I managed to hear a voice so gentle above the downpour. Let's get you out of this rain. I should refuse. Something about strangers and danger. However, this man and his calm, gentle presence reassured me of my safety in a way no one else ever had. Perhaps it was magic? And did it truly matter if I was bespelled, if I managed to get to the banquet in time? With a nod, I move quickly from beneath the cold staircase to under the unfamiliar man's cape. I am pleased to find that it's much warmer and larger than it looks. I assume you are an ambassador of the Ares Empire? Once again, I'm surprised I can hear him. Something of the sort. His gaze lingers on me for a moment too long. Though he says nothing, he reaches his lantern forward and I gather that we should move. The streets are accumulating water at such a pace that the sewage system does not seem capable of handling it. At first, I do my best to avoid the gathering puddles and streams of water carrying away dust and grime. Though the task is difficult, and my feet should be soaked through the shoes and socks, I am surprised to find that I don't walk into the puddles. I walk over them, as though an invisible barrier has been created between myself and the cold water accumulating on the streets. When I glance back at the man leading me, I notice the way the rain bounces away from him. Ask him how he's keeping you both dry or remain quiet. I do want to know, and I feel like again we're playing this in a way where we're not so afraid to say something if it's like a curiosity moment. The cloak's enchanted. Oh. I'd never experienced the effect of a magic item before, and I can't help but be a little awestruck at the revelation I was almost wearing one. They were pretty rare back in the Ares Empire. He tilts his head toward the sky as if attempting to gauge if it will cease raining soon, then sighs. I apologize. Once again, it takes me a moment to catch his voice. I find how easy it is to miss alarming. Are you apologizing for the rain? Or do you usually apologize to all victims you save from a downpour? It seems a little bit too cheeky. I'm gonna go with this one. Yes, it appears Aqua chose the opportune time to throw a tantrum. I feel the cogs clicking away in my head. And does it rain just in Omnis? Or all around Kilangala when he's in a bad mood? That's entirely up to him. Do all elven aspects have the ability to affect the weather? I can feel his gaze resting on me for a brief period. No. Oh, at least not without the help of spell candles. I raise an eyebrow at the man as he guides us into a turn that leads us out of the basic rocky building district. What are spell candles? A few seconds pass by without an answer, and I wonder if the cloak almost seems to grow heavier around me. A way to preserve pure elemental magic. And the magic is released when the candle is burnt? Correct. Is that why candles are strewn about this entire city, or sounds simple enough? I am curious because there are a lot of candles around here. Are they just regular candles, or can people take them for spells? Like, imagine, if they are taken for spells, do they get replaced? I'm very curious. I spot the smallest of twitches at the corner of his mouth. Aren't you quite the astute student? I find myself smiling back at him. Our kind light them whenever they require magic they do not naturally possess. The red candles to light the fires at home and warm a room. The blue candles to summon and control water. The effect to which anyone can use these candles depends on their magical ability, of course, but I think you get the gist of it. The curve of his lips softened his features, and for a split second, I find myself staring longer than is appropriate. Can I also use magic then? Well, how do the aspects impose control upon candles then? I do want to know if we can use magic, and I think it would be really cute if he goes, yeah, as long as you have a spell candle, you can cast magic, and he teaches us a spell. But the fact that this conversation was born out of the fact that he's talking about Aqua and about the aspects, which I'm assuming are to do with elemental beings and stuff, I want to know how that's related to the candles so we can kind of fully understand that situation. The male beside me raises an eyebrow as the rain continues to avoid hitting his lithe features. The more I stare at him, the more I find myself at peace. His calm voice reaches me once more, and I find myself probably just as surprised at his response as he is at my question. Spell candles are a commodity we aim to make available for every household. If we applied any serious control to them, then that would be like rationing the air your people breathe. I'm not sure I understand the comparison. Here we are. The man stopped suddenly and turned towards me, his tall frame towering over me as he lifted his lantern towards the entrance of the Eurasian embassy. Loud percussion, the whistle of a flute and a mandolin rang through the air, showing off that the festivities had begun. And I was late. I'm embarrassed to admit I was so focused on the intriguing man before me to notice we'd arrived. Thank you. No thank you is necessary, be assured. He motioned for me to go ahead with his free hand, so I just nodded, turned on my heel, and walked into the embassy in a hurry. The music was much louder inside, accompanied by the smells of various sizzling meats and the bright light of hanging chandeliers. Water, earth, and death elves moved around in wild, circular dances, dressed in such finery that I found myself thankful that the terror had interfered on my behalf at the store earlier. Though I spot him in the room, I find that he's engaged in conversation with some senators from our empire, full goblet in hand. A few paces away from him, my eyes meet the infamous crimson hues of the general, who seems to have stopped whatever he was doing to size up my outfit. Irritation bubbles up in my throat, and I find myself quickly pivoting towards the drinks table. A large wine fountain, adorned with lit silver candles, quickly catches my eye, and a polite elf pours me a goblet upon noticing my approach. I take the cup with a smile, but am momentarily distracted from drinking. I hear a series of loud gasps echoed from somewhere before a slick, tangible voice cuts through the music like a hot knife through butter. I told the pirate lord that if he's not willing to go to war for my love, then he doesn't deserve me. And then I sank his ship to the bottom of the bay. A series of excited whispers and murmurs follow the ridiculous explanation, carrying the electric atmosphere that supports all forms of gossip mongering. Momentarily distracted, I can't help but search for whoever is the source of this ambiance. Frankly, even if my sister and brother were on the marriage market, I doubt they'd be able to impress. Then again, feel free to bring it up with stepmother dearest. I'm sure she'll be thrilled to finally get a morsel of attention. My feet move automatically, as if charmed by scandal carried within every sentence of whoever is speaking. Finally, I am led into a section of the embassy floor, transformed into a lounge by large chaises, silk curtains, and burning incense. Many gorgeous elves are piled on top of comfortable pillows, lazing around in eye-catching outfits, yet when my eyes land on the male sprawled in the dead center of this crowd, I find myself suddenly flustered. Everything about this man makes me want to do double and triple takes. The long hair, glistening in the candlelight as if wet, the bright pink makeup, the outfits that I'm sure would look unseemly on anyone else in such a formal environment. Whoever he is, he commands the space behind these curtains as though he owns it, and he might as well, considering the way the hungry gazes of his entourage follow each breath he takes. No, sweetheart, no matter how much money your father offers her family's dowry, trust me, she won't marry you. He sounds so utterly bored with the topic that I almost believe that he isn't reveling in the attention he's receiving. His large smile says otherwise. Everyone knows that marrying for love is far superior to marrying for money. His gaze landed on me and his smile widened. Wouldn't you agree? The pull of attention was dropped upon me so suddenly that I found myself desperate to get rid of it. Oh, we have a few different options here. This character is immediately standing out as somebody who's got this charisma, who's very much like willing to be seen. Let's see, we have marriage for money is better, marriage for love is better, I don't believe in marriage, I'd rather not give opinions on other people's relationships, or can't people have both? Well, this guy is about marrying for love, which is interesting. Like, I almost got the vibe that he was going to be marrying for money is better. Where he seems like somebody who would like love the lavish lifestyle, that he's like, give me money, not love. But it's so interesting that he's like, marriage for love is better. I kind of want to go with the best of both worlds. Like, you can marry for love and also have money, right? I feel like he'd like that answer of being like, love is good, but if you can get love with money, why not? Truly? Such naivete. I'm convinced his gaze brightens as he shifts it to someone beyond my shoulder, as if searching for someone beyond the curtains before returning to me. I don't think he liked that answer, actually. He called us naive. Well, I suppose I've always had a penchant for the gullible. His heterochromic eyes slide over my form. The retort I'd planned never leaves my mouth. You're just my type. Excuse me? His bold proclamation wipes the remark clean from my memory, and I can only stare at him, completely dumbfounded. My cheeks flush as he spreads 2 fingers in front of his lips. Feel free to stop by my room later. Oh! I highly doubt that would be appropriate. Aqua of the elves. My embarrassment is quickly swept under the rug, the attention of the room instead drawn to the general who'd moved in front of me. His demeanor remains as cold as always. Ah, the Shadow Master. The beautiful man before me moves to stand in front of us. I had an inkling that the male before me had to be influential, but had I just been propositioned by the aspect of water? My brain blanched as I pondered how to put that down in my journal. I've heard a lot about you. The aqua did a quick circle around the general, eyeing him with unabashed curiosity. The man without a heart, was it? Care to dispel that rumor? Ignoring the bold flirtation of the demigod before him, the general's crimson eyes glanced in my direction briefly. I ask you to refrain from distracting our balefire mandated political journalists from doing their job. I find myself stiffening upon hearing the mention of the Ares Empire's grand capital. Aqua's attention slid over me again, lingering on the author's notebook I was given to put my notes down. I make no promises. It's a festival, General. Relax. He waved an amphibious hand dismissively. In fact... He raised his voice in a way that carried his words around the room. I propose a toast. Another goblet of wine is pushed into my hand by a serpent so quickly that I suspect the Aqua of the Elves has a habit of making toasts. Though the room is buzzing with excitement, it is quiet enough to hear a pin drop. Beside me, I noticed the general giving Aqua a withering glare. To the Ares Empire, who have stood behind us thousands of winters. He raised his silver goblet into the air. May our festival once again nourish that millennium-old alliance between our 2 nations, so that we may stand together against the coming horrors anew in 8 months. Prost! I blink as the word is echoed around the room. Everyone erupts in cheers before drinking from their cups. Drink or imitate drinking? It's a festival. Like, I know we're working, but a little sip won't hurt us, right? I take a sip of the wine and I'm thrown off by the dry, slightly salty taste it carries. I glance around the room to see if anyone shared my reaction, but it seems I'm alone in my confusion. The festivities around me have resumed in full force, with the swell of a flute leading most elves that were gathered around Aqua into an unfamiliar folk dance. They bounce around the room in couples, laughing and dragging the occasional senator into their steps. It's wild and lively, antithetical to the structured festivals we hold back at Balefire.
It's an acquired taste. The wine, I mean. Surf grape, they call it in Amor.
A familiar voice comes from behind, and as I turn, I come face to face with the giant frame of the elf's Terra.
Long time no see, gorgeous.
It's good to see you as well, Terra.
Planning to take Aqua up on his offer.
It takes me a second to clue into what he's asking. It seems word travels faster than wine at the elven capital. I will be doing my job.
Thought so.
Part of me wanted to ask what he meant, considering that smile, but I find my attention occupied by Aqua. He led a complex folk dance with easy confidence, his long hair swaying behind him, a mesmerizing head of the revelry. Our stoic general followed through the motions beside him, as though he'd done this many times before.
He looks like he'd have more fun cleaning bird shit.
I stifle a laugh behind a hand and glance up at the shrugging demigod.
Am I wrong though?
Defend the general or agree with him? I'm a little tempted to agree with him because, he looks like he's having a rough time out there. He's just doing his job. He's probably, he's had to do this, but I'm kind of here for a little bit of Aqua Latimore thing going on with them too. I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that they might have had a little thing before. And if they haven't, they're going to have a thing in the future. I'm gonna agree with him. I know we should defend our general, but also, is Terra really going to tell him? If he does, we're going to get into absolute trouble, but we've had a drink. We're feeling a little bit bolder. I think we agree with him. This guy is cheeky. I can't help but smile that cracks my well-structured mask of professionalism. I don't have to do anything more to earn myself a pleased expression from the elven demigod. His gaze shifts behind me, and I follow it to a lone figure leaning against a wall beside the embassy's entrance. My guide from earlier. With his hood down, I'm startled to see a pair of long, lupine ears shifting on top of his head. Mors Mortis, the aspect of death, the last demigod of the waking elves. He's watching the dance unfolding around the embassy floor, but he seems to be restraining himself from joining it. Terra nudges me with his elbow.
You could invite him to a dance, you know.
I'm startled by the suggestion.
You know the steps, don't you?
I nod slowly. I wouldn't be allowed on this job if I didn't.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I blink at Terra's words, suddenly feeling encouraged to try something new. This could be a great feature to put into the journalistic piece after I get home. Ooh, we get to pick who to dance with. Well, I think Aqua and the general, I think they're a little bit busy dancing with each other right now, so we're gonna let them dance, gonna let them have their thing. It'd be tempting to pick Terra, but he's told us to go and dance with Mors, and it's like he's restraining himself from joining in. It's like he wants to. Maybe no one wants to dance with him, which kind of sucks because he seems really, really sweet. One thing I like about the way they took his character so far is the fact that they made him very open to conversation, and he was very personable. A lot of the times when they have a dark character like that, they have them be really broody and unwilling to help, but they made him seem really likable off the bat, like a really nice person, and I'm really here for it. And if he wants to dance and Terra's telling us to dance, who am I to deny them both, you know? My eyes shift back to the demigod of death, who stands near the front entrance of the embassy's hall, cup of wine in hand. He strays from the rest, enjoying his bubble of serene solitude as he instead observes the descending chaos, content to be exempt from it. Uh-oh, did we misread the situation? Maybe he doesn't want to dance. Emboldened by the Terra's words, I politely excuse myself from my time with the leader of the elven faith and move to join Mors Mortis in his reclusive corner. His gaze shifts to me briefly, noticing my approach, before returning to the wild dances happening around us. Shouting, hopping, twirling, jumping, kissing, touching, drinking. The Aqua has grabbed our general, leading him through the complicated steps of a local dance that he's keeping up with perfectly. The visible vexation on his face, however, makes me consider the existence of karma. I can't help but smile as I reach the demigod of death and lean on the wall beside him. You're not joining them? His eyes flit to me and then back to the craze up ahead. Dancing is not something I've ever had much of a talent for, and yet you enjoy watching it. It is a verification of being alive, beautiful in its simplicity and simultaneously its complexity. I tilt my head and turn my attention fully to the scene before me as it unfolds. The Mors Mortis of the Elves was the oldest of the elven aspects, a frightening monster with sharp teeth and claws capable of plucking a person's soul right from their chest. He was perhaps the most feared ally we had, a folk tale the parents told their kids when they didn't want to go to bed, the sleepless wolven demigod who ate the naughty children when they wandered into dark forests at night. These men and women, politicians are like the stars. They burn beautifully when they're far away, interesting to observe, but not to encounter. His plain observation surprises me, and though I lack the courage to verbally or visibly agree with him in a room where doing either would be treason, I feel that my silence tells him enough. The beat of the music continues, and the cello swells with emotion as I watch the terror join into the dance, leading a long winding column of his own with a smile on his face. He is like the sun, a stark contrast to the schooled displeasure of our general and the mischievous expression of the Aqua. What about you? Why aren't you joining them? Actually, I wanted to thank you for earlier. Or actually, I wanted to dance with you. Well, we already thanked him, and we did come over here to dance. So he asked us why we're not joining them. It's because I wanted to dance with you. Actually, I came over here because I wanted to dance with you. I know you said you prefer watching, but would you like to join me for a song nonetheless? The aspect of death stills, and I find myself wondering if the undead demigod had to breathe in order to live. The eyes on his cheekbones dart to me, as if taking me in properly for the first time. There is suspicion in there that I'm not used to receiving. The dance floor is a cacophony of egos and personalities right now, a meat grinder that I have no interest in entering. I score my features into neutrality as he lifts a hand to rub the space between his eyes. I see. I'm sorry for bothering you with my request then. No, do not apologize. His tone grows hushed. I barely catch his next words over the music. Though I rarely interact with mortals, I understand attempts at kindness. Dancing's an activity for the living. The dead are only supposed to marvel from the sidelines. What weird rules. I know better than to question customs I do not understand, though. A sudden surge of the beat turned my eyes to the centre of the embassy's main hall. The aspects of earth and water had clashed, both vying for the centre of the dance floor. The general, whose fingers were still intertwined with Aqua's, regarded the aspect of water as though he was seconds from killing him. The stomping of feet, clinking of cups, roaming of hands. The smell of expensive perfumes met with that of sizzling meats, cooked traditionally as kebab. At the same time, it reminded me of home, while also letting me experience something entirely different. It made me want to close my eyes, lean into the beat like everyone else. As the chaos of the festivities raged around me, and I turned once again to face Mors Mortis. A question on my lips. I watched as his eyes widened, and he pulled me to his side without warning as a stray glass of wine smashed into the wall where I just stood. Its owner, an earthen elf with a sandy skin tone, laughed drunkenly, perhaps after doing a few twirls too many in the current dance. Her eyes, the colour of bright amethyst, turned to me, and what I assumed was going to be an apology turned into wide eyes, quivering lips, and a deep bow. She said something in Elvish, then turned on her heels and ran out of the embassy's open doors into the night, leaving me dumbfounded. At least she was considerate enough not to disturb the rest of the guests by screaming. She said she apologizes for the glass. I turned to Mors Mortis, whose nonchalant tone was betrayed by the scowl on his lips. Thank you. It is of no consequence. A series of merry cheers erupts from the center of the hall, the long song having come to an end, but I find myself uninterested in the winner of its superstitious competition. The man before me holds my gaze instead. I'm fascinated by what someone so seemingly gentle had done in seconds to summon forth such primal fear from his subject. But if Mors Mortis senses the millions of questions on my tongue, he ignores them, instead reaching toward me and tugging something out of my hair. His dark fingers pull away. I catch a sixth eye tattooed on the back of his hand. A bit of glass got on you. He shows me a small shard between his fingers. Something that wouldn't have happened had our Balefire mandated journalists been doing their job, recording the happenings rather than partaking in them. The general cuts into the conversation with a glare in my direction that gives me goosebumps. I believe you and I have different definitions of the term partaking, General. Unlike me, Mors Mortis seems completely unaffected by the Shadowmaster's presence. Your journalist was, in fact, doing their job very well. It is the fault of our people that they almost got injured. The general scoffed, his gaze shifting to me again, his eyes tracking what I could only assume was the glass shards in my hair. Any journalist serious about their job would already be resting. The aspect of Death's gaze shifts to me as if to gauge something before he places a hand on his toned chest. His head dipped into a curt bow, a soft smile on his lips. Then may your rest be tranquil, and your spirits feel serene under watchful gaze, Madeline. Thank you, Natura. As he rises, I offer both men a small, bright smile. If you'll excuse me. The general gives me a curt, dismissive nod. Mors Mortis, on the other hand, seems to be looking past me. I take it as permission to leave. It is halfway out of the room that I realise I'd never actually had the chance to tell the aspect of death my name. And that's where we're going to leave the demo for today. I did record a little bit more than that, and there was a lot more intrigue and mystery and darkness that's left to come. But if you guys want to see any more of that, you're going to have to let me know in the comments down below. This is where we're going to leave it for today. I had a really good time with this demo. There's a really good range of different character types here. The confident ones, the annoying ones like Latimore really kind of gets under your skin a little bit. And then Ark was kind of like in between Terra and Latimore, where he kind of makes you a little bit angry, but at the same time you can't help but be curious. And then you have the quietness of Mors Mortis. There's a lot of intrigue, and I'm so here for the rest of this story. If you guys want to see any more of this, please do let me know down in the comments down below. I can always release a part 2 with the rest of the demo if you want to see that separately. Otherwise, if you want to give it a go yourself, I'll leave a link to the Steam page and the dev socials down below, so if you want to go and follow the production of the game, please go and do so. The Kickstarter, I don't know if that is still available at the time of publishing this video, but if it is, go and check it out. I really did like the pacing of this one. I'm going to be keeping an eye on it in future, and if you want to see more, as I say, let me know down below. For now though, thank you so much for watching. Please leave your comments, suggestions and feedback down below, and remember, it's always tea time somewhere in the world. Bye bye.